recording. All right, so we're recording now. All right, questions? So I did put up a quick kind of outline for the next project. So let me get that up. I put this up yesterday, kind of briefly goes through, and let me get my share going. Okay, so it is sleepy weather. I won't keep you long so you can go to sleep. How's that? I'm gonna give you guys an afternoon nap. Could all use that. So down yonder here, last week's videos, and then this is the project. Pretty simple. It's going to be due on the November 10th, which is a Wednesday. So we've got 2 weeks more. It's going to be a travel company. Send me wrong. Yeah, spelling mistake. We're going to research. I want you guys to research logos. Again, not just with travel logos, but other logos that you think would be appropriate. So, for example, if you picture your travel agents as kind of clean, modern, sophisticated. So I want you to look up clean, modern, sophisticated. Find logos that feel that way to you. And also look at typefaces and all that. Again, everything should kind of enhance those ideas or those concepts of your company. Okay. Again, it's not meant to be literal, but it's going to enhance and give that feel. Okay, and that's what we're trying to do. That's what branding is. Branding is not just the logo, but it's also the company and its attributes and how people feel about the company. So that's what we're trying to do. Is we're trying to create a brand here where people will be sympathetic to it and want to be working with it. You know, and travel is kind of one of those things that it's a good thing, right? I mean, you know, if you get to go on a trip or go on vacation, I don't know. I don't hear many people going, "Oh God, I got to go on vacation." Darn. You know, oh, they're gonna make me go to Paris. Oh my gosh. So, you know, think about your logo and what kind of context and what kind of audience you're going to try to appeal to. Sketch out. I know a lot of you guys started out with, you know, fine art and the ideas of drawing. So, you know, doodle down those ideas. We saw those with the Aaron Draplin video. I believe those kind of ideas are good. So, you know, get those out on paper, on pencil, and then you can go back and refine those and start to bring those into the computer. And once you're in the computer, I guarantee you it's going to take you to new places. Okay, because that's just design. You know, even if you started sketching, one sketch is going to lead to another sketch, to another. It's a process. And this one, oh, I didn't think about that because this logo made you feel a certain way or look a certain way. So likewise, it's going to be the same when you get into the computer itself. Okay, so know that that's going to happen, and give yourself and leave yourself time to do that. We've got time. I'm giving you guys all the time in the world here. Not quite, but you know, I'm giving you guys time to work on these, not have to rush them through. Because what I've seen so far on the record albums, they look good. I'm still getting through it. Believe me, I'll go through that. It's like it's like a nightmare sometimes getting through this. Want your logos to be a combination logo where there's some kind of image, icon, monogram, letter. That means like letters, and then the name of it. Okay. Again, 99% of logos are something like that. There's some kind of combination. They're not just an abstract mark. Okay. And if they are, they built into that. They did that over years and years. The Nike swoosh, for example, and it took years and years to get to that. Where if you see that now on the street, on the side of a bus, on somebody's t-shirt, you know exactly what that means, what that company is. Okay. Took a lot of time, okay, and a lot of money and a lot of effort to get that way, because they had to keep pushing it and letting people see it in order to understand that. So initially it was the swoosh and the word Nike. They were always kind of in combination. So we're doing that combination, Mark, where we're doing some kind of icon imagery, word, letter forms, and then we're going to do some kind of word mark underneath. And again, the words underneath should complement the imagery, the icon, they should work in combination together, okay? It's not just the first typeface that pops up on your computer, okay? You know, I want you guys to take the time to look at it and analyze it from a design standpoint. Next week, I'm gonna potentially call on you to share your screen and show me your 3 favorites. Okay, so I want you to work it up. So by the 3rd, I think it's next Monday. No, that would be Wednesday. Hold on, let me double check here. Wednesday the 3rd. Yeah, it has to be, because it's Sunday's the Halloween. Yeah, so by next Wednesday, be prepared to let me call on you, and you can share your screen and show me your 3 best. Okay, so we can I can kind of guide you through and say, hey, that one's really cool, or what are you thinking? And we can get those kind of refined, and I'll give you another week to go and refine. Okay, and then you're gonna send me your favorite. I don't know what's it. Wednesday the 10, 9, I don't know what I'm typing here. Okay, you're gonna send it to me for Wednesday the 10th. Okay, I was in a hurry. It's okay, you get me. And we're gonna turn it in as a PDF. Okay, and I'll go through how to turn that back in as a PDF. Much like I'm gonna do again now. Okay, so questions about that? Minus my errors here. I think my similar is spelled wrong. It looks wrong.
It seems pretty straightforward.
Okay. Anybody else with the issues? Okay, so that's there to download. Again, it's the 10th. I'll remind you, don't worry, we have time. Okay. So one thing real quick, let me go through. So Christian, since you've been there on the talking here, I need, I'll show you why the problem is. Christian, you added your things as a PDF, and they're like up to Apple or to Adobe. And I'm just going to show you guys so you know why I'm asking for a certain way. So I'm going to click on this, and it's going to try to download it. Okay, and that's saying it's too big. And when I click the download, it turns out to be a 500 meg file, which is okay. So I'm going to go through one more time just so everybody knows how you should be. I'm just going to cancel that because I don't need that. Is much like this, right? Devin, here's Devin, right? Devin got the name on there, Monday. All right, awesome. Okay, and then look, I can show you. I'm just going to highlight it, and then I can go through the work. So what I'm doing is I'm downloading the file to a folder, and it's got her name in it, right? Her name is on there, so all I got to do is drop it into the folder, and then I can go through and start degrading. Does that make sense? So even if Christian, your files were good, again, I got this 74, so I have to come in now and rename them. I got to download 4 files, and I got to rename them, and then put them in the folder together. Does that make sense? So that's kind of why I want you to put them all as one file, as a PDF. I'm going to go through that one more time today. And then save that file with your name on it. Okay, because there's some, I can tell you, as I'm going through, be like here. Okay, see, there's no name, right? So I have to, oh, sorry, there is one. My bad on that one. Isabel's great. Becca. So here's one. Okay, school project. So now I have to go and I have to rename it, which is, you know, not a problem. But when I start getting too many, and again, I got like 40 some students, it gets to be kind of a pain to put them in the right place and know I got it and stuff. So we are going to go through them, as you could start to see, and we just look at Devin, right? Beautiful, right? I mean, I'm like, what do I got to say? You did a great job. I mean, we're going to go through these, relatively quick because what I've seen so far, everything looks good. You guys are getting it. Look at the colors going on here. Beautiful. Okay. Nice type, a whole thing. So we're going to go through these. No worries. We've got time. But if you submit it and it's, I've got this, just resubmit it to me real quick. Again, I'm trying to get through them all and get them into the right places and the right folders so I can start to organize and grade them and so forth. So don't panic. I'm good. I'm just reminding you that there's a reason for my madness for when we're submitting, because it just makes it easier. And that's part of why I haven't submit to me directly, because if I got to go up and upload and download, it goes to different places instead of just being able to, take it and literally just kind of drag it and pop it into a folder. Does that make sense? It makes it real easy to keep it organized and to get everything done. So we'll get there. Don't worry. That's why we're here. We're here to figure it out. And again, if you send a 500 meg file to a client, they're like, what? They're going to freak out if they even open it, type of thing. And if they can even download it. Okay, again, a lot of systems are set up not to take things that big because of, I don't want to say privacy, but what do you say? Corruption, hacking, all that bad stuff that people do on the computers. It's terrible. So again, we're trying to keep them as simple as possible so you can send them around and clients will be able to see it, friends, whoever you're trying to send it to can see it quickly and not have to deal with this big major file that potentially could be corrupt. Okay, so everybody's worried about computer security, as they should be. All right, does that make sense, everybody, so far? And let me just go through one more demo with that. So you've got your files saved, your front, back, and then you can basically go to Acrobat, okay, Acrobat Pro, and we're going to create, and again, you can combine them into a single PDF. So what we're doing is we're taking multiple files and making one single PDF with it. And we're going to add the files. And let me find my folder. Okay, so we have, in this case, they have them as JPEGs. I have stuff here as PDFs. And I'm trying to think this. So these are multiple PDFs. I'm gonna put them together, because assuming you saved them as JPEGs. I'm just gonna select images. So you've got all these, and we're gonna didn't want this one in there, so we're gonna delete it. Okay. So now we've got them all, and we've got our pictures the way we want, and our albums. And again, we're gonna have 4, and they're gonna be similar to this: front, back, front, back. And then you just hit combine. Pretty simple. And it's going to go through process. Just a second more. Okay, so now we've got our stuff, and then we get this thing that says binder 2. That's just some name that they made up, and you can just do a save or save as, and you get this kind of weird thing. To me, this is probably the most confusing thing in Acrobat. I don't know why it does it. It's unlike anything else on any of the other windows. But what this is saying is you last saved at this place. And if you want it to be in the same place, you can just click it. If you want to put it someplace else, you choose a new folder. So we're going to just click that. And then it comes up here, binder 2. So while we don't want to name it that, we want to put your name on it. Okay, and that's like it's Monday class, something like that, and hit save. And we're good. Okay. Now I know it's not a big file, but if you're concerned that it might be a big file, one, you can look up the look in that folder and see what it looks like. Or B, you can actually come in here and do reduce file size. And it's just I'm gonna keep it in the same place. And I'm gonna just keep the same name. I'm cool with that. And let me just see if it's gonna show me. No. Replace, yes. And what it's doing is taking away some data information, stuff that's not really important. And it made a smaller file size. And it was 11 megs and now it's 1.6 megs. Okay. So literally it reduced it by, I don't know, more than 100%, right? I mean, I'm not good at math, right? So 11 to 1. Think about that, right? That's what it did. Took away 10 megs of information. And it's going to look the same, okay? If I was going to print this commercially, go to a printing press, that type of thing, I wouldn't have done that, right? Because it kind of basically will smush together some of the pixels. Maybe there's a little bit more blurring going on. But from the sake of me looking at it, it's going to be fine. And even if I look at it, you know, at 100%, you know, it looks fine, okay? Now, if I zoom in even more, I think I'm going to, you see, that's when I start to get the blurs and pixelization. But that's okay, because I'm not worried about that, okay? Because I'm going to look at it at 100% or less. I know that PDFs compress and give you jaggeds. And if you went through that extra reduction, that's perfectly fine. But had you not, it's still only 11, 12 megs that you're sending me, not something like 500 megs. Okay, so that's kind of the step. So if you sent it in, you know what you did, just resave it and send it over to me. Okay, questions on that? Does that make sense, everybody?
Yeah, makes sense.
Okay.
Mm.
And if you have questions, just tell me. We'll go through it. It's not a problem here. I mean, I want you guys to.
No, I just can't think of any.
Okay.
Mm.
All right. All right. So today, questions on logos before we move ahead to some other things. Questions on what we're doing with their logos, anything like that. Which one logo is not logo wiki? Don't do logos for 49 bucks, guys. It's like, I can't believe people do that. Okay. Questions about this? All right. Where we're going.
Before you said it was okay if we used like if we use things like plants and such from images to add to the logo, but would you prefer if we just made the shapes in Illustrator? Like we just use them as a template?
I'm sorry, say it again. Let me make sure I'm
All right,
clear
so
with what you're asking.
so before you said it's okay if we use shapes from like these icon images for like the silhouettes, right?
Yeah, yeah,
Would it be
yeah.
preferred if we use, yeah, would it be preferred if we instead use them just to like as reference point for us to draw the things in image or
Yeah,
in
well,
like illustrated?
it's both, right? So let me just kind of grab this one. See if it pops up here. I don't know. See if I can. That's a bad one because it's hard to grab. So like this, I can tell you this is a very low quality right now, but the idea of making a boat, streamlined boat, you know, you could do that. You could use it as a reference. This jet, you can see it's the same jet here, same jet here, same jet. They're using the same jet. Okay. Did they draw it? I don't know. Did they, buy it? I hope so, right? Because again, you don't. Again, we want to. I want to make sure you guys know we're not here to. You can't steal, right? Because at some point you're going to be creating stuff, and you don't want people to use your stuff without permission. Okay, but let me just do a jet vector. I'm just going to do it. So I'm just typing vector. That's going to give me a certain style. I'm not going to get photographs. I'm going to get a jet. And let me do commercial. I spelled that wrong, but okay. So for the sake of what we're doing in time, you don't need to necessarily buy it, right? You could. This is a vector. This is pretty well, and this is like actually kind of very photographically styled. And I'm gonna drag this into Illustrator, and I'll show you. So again, what we're talking about is maybe going back in, and we can either trace it with the kind of a pen tool. We can use the image trace to kind of give us a thing, or we can just kind of draw our own just to kind of get an idea of proportions and size. So it's like, if I'm going to go, how far back are the wings? Well, logically, you think the wings are equally back, but they're typically further than halfway back. And again, I don't know that, but until I start to look at pictures. And depending on the plane, this depends on where the wing kind of starts. So depending on what kind of look you would want with that jet, is this one that starts here? Is it, kind of a 747, a big one? There's a private jet. They all kind of look a little different. So it's just kind of a look and feel that you're trying to go. Or it could be simply a silhouette. Like this, I know is a 747 with that little bump, right? They have that extra area on the top. Never got to go up there on those planes. Okay. So looking at the stylistically where it is, do I want a silhouette? Do I want something just from above or below? So there's a lot of reference points, and that's what I want you to think about is these become reference points. Okay. And again, many times we're redrawing them. And we may be drawing from scratch, or we may just be kind of doing a trace. So let me see if I get this up here. Come on, hold on, gotta restart. Okay, come on, dude up. I think I gotta clean my computer up. Too many things going on. Okay. Now that we're open, let me just drag this in. Now it's going to come in as a JPEG pixel-based image. It's not a vector. You can buy them. If you bought it, it would come out as a vector. Excuse me, comes as a vector. Okay, so I want to, let's just say I want to kind of do an image trace. So a couple things I could do. I could just start out by redrawing this. And what I would do is I would lock this layer and I would build a new layer. So now I can just draw on top of it, maybe with the pen tool, and not have to worry about selecting the one below. And you can see I can pretty quickly draw through. And again, I'm just looking for quick points. I'm going to simplify it. I don't need all of that. I'm just quickly drawing through with the mouse. I'm just going to highlight that quick. So I know I didn't do it perfectly, right? But that's okay. So I'm going to basically real quick go through, and I'm going to just drop the opacity down so I can see below. And then I'm going to come back and get the point. So I know that point was off. And I should put that engine back in because I kind of do it there. So I'm going to add a couple points. Okay, and I'm going to pull those out. And they're just regular points. I'm going to do the adjust it so I can get my Bezier curves going on in there. Again, get those points where I want. And again, just kind of drawing it in, nothing fancy. Yeah, this needs to be smoothed out. So I'm actually gonna get rid of a couple points up here, just to give me a smoother curve. Much better. All right, and then I'm just gonna make it black. So let me make it a black made. Okay, and I can drop my opacity back up to 100%. And it's not bad. I got a couple little weird spots in there, but we've got basically kind of a jet silhouette that needs to be cleaned up still, but we've got that. And now we can start to use that in our logo. We don't even need, once we're happy with our design, we can scale that, we could flip it, we can do whatever we want with it. And that gives us kind of our starting point, for our thing. And then we're going to maybe do an ellipse. And that ellipse is going to become kind of a swoosh. Take out a couple points here. Yeah, crazy. So I'm just kind of like redrawing things here. Yeah, so now we've got that, the jet taking off, and maybe curve it a little bit more, click it back. So you're working with things, shapes, and you're starting to pull that together. Okay, so that's kind of like one way of working it. Now another could be simply to do an image trace on it. And let's take a look and see how that works. So we do image trace, and we've selected the picture because it's a photograph. And let me just do, black and white. I want to see if that's going to work first. It didn't work. That one didn't catch it. It depends on the thing. There's this very low contrast, so might be a little bit harder to do. Okay, so now it's a grayscale. It's all going to be vector. So in this case, I'm going to expand it, and then I'm going to select, and I'm going to ungroup it. So when I ungroup it, then I can start to take stuff and work with it. So I don't need this background. I don't need this thing at the bottom that says vector. Okay, and now I've got all these parts in here. And again, it's pretty crude and rudimentary, but I could kind of maybe build that together. So I'm going to actually select all of these, and I'm going to check with my Pathfinder tool. And I'm going to see if I can unite. I want to see what that does. Ooh, look at that. Did pretty darn good. So I've got a silhouette with some weird spots going on in there. Okay. And then I can simply come back in here, and I'm just going to take out some of these anchors. I'm just getting rid of them. So it'll go back up to the front. Okay, we're going to call that good. The same thing over here. Again, you can go through and you can modify this and make this what you want. And again, would this be okay if I was professionally doing it? Probably still not. I would probably either, purchase this image so I could modify it, or go back and redraw it some more. Okay, so we're pretty close. Again, you can clean that all up, but we've got now a shape that we can work with. And I'm going to just make it black. Okay, so two ways of getting something out of that shape. In this case, I was just looking for something like a silhouette. But before I made it wall one with the Pathfinder, I could have gone in there and colorized it any way I wanted to. Okay, so I could have kind of a gradient of some sort going on that plane, should that be my desire. So I'm going to say, yes, it's okay to start to use things like this and work them up to kind of the way I'm just doing it. And you're going to see here, there's a difference between the two, but proportionally everything should be pretty close to being the same. There's more detail in this one because of the way it came out, the way the live trace went. But I could obviously go back in and minimize the details to kind of clean it up and make it less complicated. And if it was a logo, I would do that, right? Because in a logo format, this in general is going to work better than this with all these little points. Even though this is realistically probably more accurate, it's supposed to be representational of a jet, not trying to be the jet. That makes sense. So we're not doing scientific illustrations for a textbook or some kind of book or brochure saying we're going to fly on 707 or whatever the plane is. So we're not worried about being completely accurate. We're trying to be representational, and that's what logos end up being. Most times they're representational. They're not trying to completely accurately depict something, and in fact many times they're just trying to be symbolic or kind of create a feel. So again, these are representational logos, but something like Apple and the Nike symbol, again, they took years to get to there. Okay, but you'll see most logos tend to be a combination, and these are the biggest companies in the world, so therefore they're going to in theory have the simplest of logos because they're the most well known. Okay, so the combination logo, what we're working on is the idea of some kind of icon or imagery, and then the word underneath. So even here, this S becomes the icon for stylus here, or I don't know, I like this kind of nut house, right? The combination mark where the acorn's kind of symbolic of a window. It's kind of a house itself. Okay, working those two things together. Okay, Lacoste, right? There's the alligator and there's the name underneath. Okay, even Burger King is a combination technically, right? We've got the name Burger King, and then we've got the buns underneath. The Burger King becomes the burgers themselves, and this blue thing is kind of a unifying factor to tie it all together. The new Pepsi logo, there's an icon, okay, and the word Pepsi. Now, again, they might use things separately now because they're big enough, but it's a combination. The Lakers, okay, or we get into some kind of monogram logo, like the Dodgers, right? Who just lost? Who was upset the Dodgers lost? All right, so they have this, okay, but they also have the LA, right? The LA is symbolic of the team. So they'll use this on uniforms, but they also then they'll use the LA on the hats themselves. Okay, so they're using two different things. They're using an icon. Okay, and then I'm not sure. Let me just see if I can find. I want to see what their official logo is. If I can find it. Maybe this is just the Dodgers. I was wondering if they would do the Dodgers combination with the LA. I guess it is just the word Dodgers now with the baseball flying through. Okay. Okay. But word marks or the idea of a monogram kind of thing works very, very well. Okay. And that's used a lot in logos. Okay. So, but it's important again to think about the type. Okay. The type plays a huge role in that logo and what it's going to be. It is never the first typeface. It just happens to come up by default. Okay. You want to, take the time to, work that out. So it's not the default font, which is Mignon Myriad Pro, right? You're going to start to go through and figure out what that is. Okay. And also think about how that works. Do I have it all caps or upper and lowercase? This is something like that. Or maybe the whole thing is upper and lower. Okay. So upper, lower combination could be the word ace and then the word travel is lower. Right. So there's all different combinations, and that's up to you as a designer to start to feel out how does it fit best? How does it feel? Again, sometimes all cap is too much, and sometimes all cap makes things harder to read. Okay. In general, all caps is more difficult to read than upper and lower. We're just kind of our minds and eyes are trained for that cadence of letters being up and down. So if we do all caps, it's typically trying to call out something to make it noticeable, kind of like making it bold. And it might be a sec, do I have to do that? Okay. And could I do something where I have something where I've got a thicker weight and kind of a lightweight? Okay, so I'm using the same typeface, so everything's curvature wise and the feel is going to be the same. Okay, but I'm doing something like that where I'm kind of messing with the heavy weights and lighter weights and so forth. Okay, or it could be even different typefaces themselves. Okay, and again, you're going to just kind of work through those when you're working. So let me get a, not that works, but we've got a serif, sans serif, right? Sans serif over here, the serif over on the back. Okay, so again, that's part of it. So not only are we trying to figure out this imagery, this icon, it's also where do the words go and how do they fit and how does that combination go? And then again, what size? Do I make them bigger or smaller? What is the relationship of the words to the icon? Okay, and those are all design decisions you have to go through and you got to work them to start to get that feel. Okay, because guarantee this takes time. This is where the work comes in, is to kind of bring those things together and see how they're meshing. Okay, how are they going to function together? Okay, like here, I don't like, now that I put the words with it, I don't like this direction. So I actually want to, in this case, I'm going to reflect it. I want to put it the other way. I think that already reads better. Okay, so you can see just by kind of making some small moves, we made a big difference in how that logo looks and feels. Okay. Questions on that? Is that helping?
Yeah, it is helping. It does look way more
Yeah.
precise.
Would it be like weird if like the first word was capitalized and the second word, if it's like longer, was lowercase? So like looks strange if it's like big
this?
ace and yeah.
It's a design decision. I can't, I don't want to say no, it doesn't work, because it does work. Again, you got to balance it out. Me looking at this, I would say right now, there's too much weight on this side and not enough on the word travel. So it could be as simple as, you know, maybe going to a bold. Let me go to a display bold even bigger. You know, maybe that helps to balance it out. I don't know. Again, that's where I work it. That's where I'm like, okay, I got something. I know it's kind of working. Now I'm going to just kind of hold the Option key and drag it. And now I'm going to play with this. So I'm going to work on the word travel. And maybe I go with an all cap in there. You know, right now, well, now there's not enough. I think I need a space in there. Okay, to bring it together. Maybe that was too much. Or I'm going to come back in and play with the spacing itself, come with my touch type till I can take my T and I can drag it in. So it's not a full space, it's kind of a half a space. Okay, but it's enough space to kind of transition between one letter and the other. And it could even be something like where I'm taking the word trace or travel here. I'm going to actually take that off and I'm going to make a new window with that. And I'm going to actually scale that down. So right now it's at 62 point. And what if it was at 48? And what does that look like up there? Does that make sense? So we're going through these kind of combinations. They're going to go, maybe I'm onto something there. So let me leave that alone, take an Option, copy, just literally drag it, and I'm going to keep going. So I'm right now, I'm not worried about the icon because I'm kind of content with it. I'm just trying to figure out the typefaces. Okay, so maybe that's the same face. Maybe there's something else. I've got a bunch of type, obviously. And I'm just going to kind of go through things that may or may not work. That's kind of a condensed. Okay, even have icons. Okay, so some typefaces that have images in them. No, that's not working. The 3D is not there. I don't know, maybe it's something like this. Okay, and then I can go through these and kind of see which ones might work. It's too much. Okay, and then I'm going to just kind of keep going, right? So I could spend hours just kind of copying and pasting and, you know, working with the type here. And then I'm going to eventually get to where I think, okay, I've got it. I got enough to work with, and I'm going to start to go through and refine them even more. Okay, and work this up into what I think might be the way to go. And I can tell you sometimes the differences are so minute. People look at it and go, "What are you doing?" Well, they're different, right? I mean, the typefaces are different. Let me just see if I have a. I was working on. It was okay. I think this is the file I'm thinking about. Yeah. So I was working on this idea for a T-shirt, and we're going to go through some T-shirt design and stuff next week. And I'm just kind of playing, right? And they're all kind of variations of what I want. And it's funny because I started with this kind of in my head. I had this inline vision of the word Tetons. And this is kind of where I started up here. And then I kind of went into this. And then I started getting over here, and I like the dot. And you guys don't know, the Tetons is French for boobs, right? So I'm like, well, I can play with this kind of pun going on in here with it. But it kind of looks cool graphically, but if you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. And I was playing with the kind of, how does that work if I intersect letters? And then what if they're curved a little bit? And what about if they're italic? I'm just kind of going through, what if I have this image that I worked up in another thing. Maybe I bring that in and fill the O with that. And again, it's kind of working through, playing with typefaces and how does each one work. And and these two are the same, but they're not. And this one's got a little bit of a grungy edge. It's not perfect. There's a little like imperfection compared to this being crisp. And then you have these two, and you're going to go kind of, what's the difference? Well, there's these tiny little angles going on here, right? So it's basically the same, but with the little angles. Okay, so again, that's what we're looking at. And like this N, this has got a bigger base than this does. So that's the kind of thing that we start to get to when you're really getting into these kind of ideas as to what will work. Okay, and then what works is really kind of subjective, of course, but it comes from your own design, your own influences, your own kind of look and feel as to what you're trying to create. And I worked on this, and I haven't worked on this for probably a couple of months at this point now. But I'm going to come back to it, and I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know if it's going to go in these kind of directions or go back to my original idea. I don't know. I got inspired by something, and I just kind of went with it. Okay. But as I started that journey, and again, in reality, I'm making an icon here, which is going to turn into a t-shirt design. But you have to take the time to go through it. It's not just what letters come up, okay, what typeface comes up. You have to go through and you start to analyze it, and you look at them, and it's like, I love this slab serif look. They call this a slab serif, where they've got this little like chunks. I think that works, right? With a different serif up here, but then I've got this thick serif here. Okay, so but it's kind of smushed. If you look at the O, it's not perfectly round. There's a little smushing going on there. This is like pretty much almost a perfect round, but it's a little smushed there somewhat. Okay, but it's kind of working these things together. And loving how the N and the D are kind of working it. Okay, so again, this all comes from taking it and working it. And again, I'm giving you time. You're like, well, I don't need that much time. You do, right? It takes time to do this and to work this up. And what you're going to do is, for next week, is have your best three. You're going to go, hey, this is this logo. You're going to put them all in one document. And then I like this one. Okay. And then I like, I don't know, let's say I'm going over back to this one. So these are my three favorites. You're going to show me that, and then we'll talk about them real quick. And then, you can go from, and again, I'm not worried about color too much, but I'll build that in eventually. Okay. It may be black and white kind of neutrality, depending on what t-shirt it goes on, or it may be this some kind of, maybe I make this into some kind of gradient that's going to go on. Right. I kind of select that and I give it a gradient. Let me see what kind of gradients are going to pop up here. Did I outline that? No, let me double check. Okay. Who knows? But then you're going to move into color palettes and start working that out. Okay. That's the design. To me, that's the fun part. That's the creative part. Okay. So if you stay in design, you're gonna. But even if you're not, if you go into animation or you get into something else, it's really getting into the details that make it what it is. Okay. That's the time, the energy, and the creative process coming all together. to make it something different, and unique, and something that, you know, no one's seen before, in theory. It's all based upon stuff, okay? It's all based upon life and inspiration and, you know, in this case, looking at other logos or seeing stuff, but it's your own take on it, okay? Now, I wanted to show you, and I don't know if I showed, I don't think I showed you guys this yet on type. Because you have the Adobe suite, you can add type, okay? So let me get this so you can see this. There are a bunch of typefaces that we can add, and I'm going to hit find more, and this is going to open up the Adobe type family. Let's see how it's going to work here. Hopefully the internet holds up. Second, it's initializing. Oh, come on, come on. I try this again. So you can do a couple of things. You can filter by certain types of fonts. So this is filtered to serifs. You can filter to non-serifs, and it's going to bring up in your list what you have. These are some slab serifs. Again, and it may not all be really that. It's maybe what the designer classified it at. So you can go through and kind of find things. That also you can look at here. This is looking for a heavyweight. So let me just clear it. Okay, so I'm going to clear all. Oh, we're going to crash. We're going to crash. Don't even have that much open now in the Photoshop. Let me quit that. Photoshop just sucks the life out of my computer. It's so intense. So we'll see if this clears. But what this is doing is basically you can select. So here I want like a thick, heavyweight, okay, or I want condensed, okay. You can also look at kind of the numbers, like old style they call it, or in line, right? You can see here the 4 drops below the baseline. Here it doesn't. Capitals only, upper, lower. And these are like the heights. You can see the X height is where that H comes up. Okay, so you can, so there's things that are built into this. So if you have in your mind, okay, I want a certain type of font, you can do that. Okay, that's one way. Okay, here's the find more. Let me get this over so you can see it. Hold on. Okay, so these are all Adobe typefaces. And again, you can go through, and there's thousands in here, okay, that you can go through. Let me just see if I have anything in here. You just, this is changing the word, or if you know a word you want, you can type it, okay, so I'm going to do T10 all caps because I want, that's what I want. Oh, sorry. Oops. No, don't do that. All right. So we can look in here, and we're in the Adobe to find more. and kind of go through. Okay, and if you find one you like, let me find one I like, because I'm gonna, and then we're gonna download it. So there's also, they call them ornaments, okay, or dingbats. Okay, so there are gonna be some that are just like here. See, there's, this is what big cheese. There's shapes and things and instruments or whatever. Like here, kids stuff. So you always have those options. And again, those are all free to use. How would I cut apart a shape? Trying to make a window. Okay, I'll show you that in 1 second. I'll just pick this. So if you find one you like, you will download it to your computer. Every time I move, it goes back. Okay. So you simply hit the cloud. Okay. So when you find the one you like, okay, just hit the activating. And what that's going to do is going to turn it on, so you'll be able to use it in your computer. And it should be there, activating. Okay, so that's, that little green check means I'm working. And we're going to come back over here. And I always work big. Trust me, guys. You don't need to work small. You can just kind of work, play big and do that. And then that was something with an E. Antho or something. Did I download it? Here we go. Oh, that was good. A lot of typefaces too. So we've got all kinds of different weights, which is nice. It's always good. Okay, so now I've got that typeface and I can use it. So I didn't buy that. I didn't do anything. I just get it from Adobe. So, and these are fair to use on anything you want. And you can see there's a difference there. Look at that. That's really nice. The ultralight does kind of crazy. Okay, so there's quite a difference between that and this. Okay, but it's still the same typeface. And these are all free to use. So when you're going through your computer, you may not have a lot of typefaces yet. And I don't necessarily, you don't need to buy them. At this point, I would just go through and download. And then this is the Adobe Fonts. And it took me to their website. It's fonts.adobe.com. And the cool thing is here, you can type in what you want. We're going to go Ace Travel. And it's going to actually show you what that one looks like. And when it says view the family, that means it's going to be other typefaces with it. No, I don't want that. Let me go back. So they're showing you the other ones that go with it. You can kind of enlarge it down here. So it comes with a light, extra light, italic, light, mediums, bold. Okay. Again, these are all free to use for whatever you're trying to do, whether it be actually designing for a logo, or working up a brochure or anything like that. You have rights to use all these. So you don't have to quote steal fonts or download them from somebody else's website. Adobe is making a bunch available. And again, the cool thing about this when you're on the site is you can check it out and see how it's going to look in that typeface. You know, what does it look like before you even download it? You get a good feel for it. All right. There's a big difference between these. That's nice. That's a nice letter. Okay. That makes sense, guys? Getting typefaces. You can pick just the right one. All right.
Yeah.
Question came up. All right. How would I cut out a part of a shape? Okay, that's super simple. We're going to go through that. So let me just close my Tetons. Don't save, we don't want to do that. All right, so let me make my artboard bigger so we can see. Just making white space. That's all I'm doing. All right, so we have a trying to make a window. Okay, so we have a house. Well, we don't have a house because a house always has a roof. So let's put a roof on the house. I'm going to make a three-sided roof. Okay, so we have a roof, a house and a roof. I'm going to combine it. So this is where pathfinders come in. So in this case, I'm going to do the unite. Okay, so when I do this, it's going to make those two shapes into one. So now it's just one shape. When I click on it, if I change the colors, it's all one. It's all working as one, and there's no stroke. But if I want to add a stroke, I can. I'm just going to give it a blue stroke. You guys can see it. Okay. It wasn't perfect. You can see there's a little notch in there. I would have to come back and fix that, or I should have aligned the house up a little better, but that's okay. And you guys want I'm going to squat it down a little bit. And you want a cutout window. So I'm going to make the middle transparent. Okay. So typically you're going to have we're going to make some panes. I'm going to give it a new color so you can see it. So I got one pane, I'm going to copy it. So I'm holding the option and dragging. Now I've got those two, option drag. And I've got those two. So now I've got 4 window panes. I'm going to just kind of group that just to make it move it easier. And I want to put windows in the house. I'm going to scale it up a little bit. A nice house. So what I want to do is I want to cut that out. Let me center that. So I'm selecting the windows and the house. And I'm going to come back to my Pathfinder. And what I want to do is I want to minus the front. The windows are in the front. So if I hit minus the front, it should cut out those shapes, in this case, the window pane shapes from the house. And it did. Okay, so it cut the middles out. And now this is part of this. Okay, so we took them away. These are still movable, right? But when I do that, it kind of changes it back to I have to cut again. So these are all basically a part of this house. I'll group that all together just so it stays as one as I move it around. And if I give it a background, okay, it's going to be there. We'll give that a color. Kind of a nice blue sky. And I'm going to put that to the back. Arrange object, arrange, send to back. And now you can see the house has those transparent windows. Does that answer the question?
Yes.
Okay. Other questions? All right, everybody knows the direction that we're going. You should start to work on your logos. Like I said, work it. Resend your files if you need to for the albums because you saved it weird or didn't include your name on it or something like that. We'll get that all organized. I hope to be able to go through this on Wednesday, but we've already seen just one today and it looks gorgeous. Okay.
Do you want me to try to resend mine? So
Yeah,
it's
yes,
smaller?
yeah. Go through that process of putting them as a PDF all in one and then reducing file size if you need to. Literally, it shouldn't be, but maybe 10, maybe even 20 megs, but that's a lot. I mean, it should get pretty small.
All right,
That makes
got
sense?
it.
Okay. All right, other questions? So like I said, it won't keep you long. It's raining. Go take a nap. Work on your logos. We'll do a little bit more with Illustrator come Wednesday. And hopefully we can get through some reviews of the record albums. And I'm going to just kind of keep going. All right. If you haven't, get your Halloween costume together. Only a couple more days. Go and trick or treat or whatever you do. And we'll go from there. All right. Anything else for today? And double check.
Okay, thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Just make sure I got everybody. They come in. All right. Okay.
Could we
Yes.
double check with you real quick to see if we should resend? I think I just resent mine, but I'm not sure if it's good or not.
Let me open it up there. Let me double check. Give me a second here. Get my windows right. Monday class. Let me double check let me get my mouse, see if it came in real quick here.
Sure, thank you.
Nightwish, is that you?
Yeah. although
Yeah, I
that's
got
not-
it. Yeah,
Okay,
got it.
cool.
Perfect.
All right.
Yeah, no, I got it. You're good. Named, perfect. Look at that, named on there, everything. So, yeah, excellent
Okay,
day.
cool.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. See you
All right,
Wednesday.
see you Wednesday.
All right, anything else, guys? All
I just
right.
had a question real quick.
Yes.
I accidentally sent my project in 2 separate emails. Do you want me to just turn them into one? Because I made 2 different PDFs of that.
Yeah, do it, make it one. It'll make it easier as I start to put them together and figure out who did what.
Okay, I'll do that right now.
Okay, no problem. Thank you.